Okay, we're good. We're recording here.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined by my co-host and stepsis, Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's good. Happy birthday, first of all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have to start with how was it? Big birthday. What are your reflections, thoughts,
First of all,
birthday feelings?
thank you so much. I'm so excited to be 40.
Yes, welcome to 40.
Okay.
Glad to have you here with
I'm
us.
so excited for, a couple things. First of all, I loved my 30s. I have had a great decade.
Absolutely.
Because a week before I turned 30 was the wedding. So it's like obviously I would have been able to reflect on any 10 years, but it's like 10 years of my marriage has been my whole 30s, like becoming a mom, growing with Mitch, moving, growing within my career, having this podcast with you. Like there's been a lot of highlights.
Totally. Great decade.
like cultivating new relationships, continuing being close with old friends. Like it's been a good decade.
Absolutely. It's been great.
Way better than my 20s.
20s had some ups and downs.
Ups and downs. We were
The highs were high, the lows were low.
That's really well put. And the 30s have been way more steady. The highs were high.
I think you want that rather than the reverse.
But it's like, except that like parenting's wild,
yes,
childbirth, like I was thinking about it. Mitch and I have been talking about it a lot because we've been talking about our 10-year anniversary and just kind of reflecting back. So it's like all the same decade.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much, but I feel so excited about my 40s. Also, obviously, I feel very youthful.
Obvious, needless to say.
But the thing
despite those who claim that we sound old on this podcast, I reject that completely.
Right, but the thing is, like, what's funny about the book tonight is, like, we have another main character who I'm just like, how old is this person? How is she so young? Like, so, okay, it's going to happen again. Trigger warning for anyone who doesn't like us sounding like old fuddy-duddies. It will happen again, I think, in this book. But my birthday was great. The whole weekend was great. It was good. It was really good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, totally. 40's great. I'm glad we're both here.
Me too. I like, I've said this before that like you get a 6 month window for me.
Just scope it out. Yeah. No, it's great here. It's really
great. You were
great.
right. I knew it would be.
Of course.
Also, like, I am past the point professionally. Like, you also have this where like you have a young look.
Thank you.
And so like, I don't know, but you've always been a little bit more, I think maybe slightly more confident when it comes to some of like, I don't know exactly, but sometimes I have felt like people think I'm a little pisher. And over the years, I felt more and more and more confident when it comes to work. And obviously, like, I work as an adjunct professor. So like, I know that I know my stuff. That's not where the confidence issue comes from. It's like, specifically, I feel like people used to think that I'm too young for my job, but I am not too young for my job right now. Like, we've discussed this before, but I am a silver fox who is older than all the parents now. Like, I'm no longer, and I don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I am not too young.
Totally. And I really do stand by what I think I said when I turned 40, which is like, now you can just ask people things and like follow it up with, I'm 40, and it makes it okay. Like now, if I'm curious about how old someone is, I used to be like, you can't ask. Now I'm like, how old are you? I'm 40. Like, I think, and it just, it gives you permission to just be like, here's something about me. Now you tell me. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Absolutely. But one thing that I have been excited about this birthday for a long time. And by the way, I'm excited for 45. I'm excited for 50. Like, I am not afraid of aging. Like, I'm excited about all these new milestones, but probably because I'm happy. Like, I don't know. I'm just excited about these things. But there's this kind of like trend or something I see where people are like, I've been celebrating my, 37th birthday for as long as I can remember, that kind of thing. And it's like, come on, be excited. It's okay.
Right. We don't have to pretend that we're still 37. It's not necessary.
It's almost like ageist. It's like that it's better to be young. Like, don't ask mommy how old she is. I'm like, no, I'm proud to be my age.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm psyched. But also it's so much younger than I thought. Like, now that I'm here.
Oh, like you imagined like when you were 40 you would feel older or like
So, no, it's just
more
like
something?
when I was obviously much younger. Again, spoiler alert, we're gonna sound very old right now, but it's like when I was in high school, college, whatever, like you're like, oh well, when I'm 40, I feel like you even say when I'm 30,
Sure. Oh, of course. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
thinking, but it's like
Yeah,
actually we're all just the same dum dums we always were. It's the
of
same.
course. We're all people.
It's just the
Right.
same.
Totally. By the way, though I wasn't at your party on Saturday night, I did get some live tweeting of it from my dad.
I think they loved it. What did he say?
Well, it was funny because I really got the full gamut of emotion because, I feel like my dad, I think, was probably never a big partier, even in his youth. But now, like, as a man in his 70s, I feel confident, like, he may not have been to a party since, like, before COVID easily. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and so I just think, like, at the beginning, he was like, this party is crazy. And I was like, crazy how? And he was like, there's a lot of people and they're all in one room. And
Wait,
I was like,
wait,
I think
this
that's
is
what a party is.
amazing. Okay, part of why this is incredible is because my mom came up to Katie and Becky and I and me and was like, I've never been to a party like this. I've never been to a party like this. But I didn't allow it. I was like, what? Like what? What is
Right.
this that you've never been to? Like I've been in the same room with our parents at parties before. Like
Sure. Yeah.
I even remember my 30th was a karaoke party. My mom was just going, just
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
12 out of 10 at karaoke, just dancing and going hard. And so it's like, I was like, what do you mean you haven't been to a party like this? Katie and Becky, same thing. What do you mean you haven't been to a party like this? And I was like, kind of trying, it's loud. I was like naming things that I was noticing in the party. I was like, the bar, like the dancing. She's seen all this. Like I was
It's all
like,
pretty standard party
I was like
stuff.
a party in a low income neighborhood. Like it was like in like kind of like that's what I said.
Low
That's what
income.
I said to her. I was like trying to understand
Was it in a low
what you
income neighborhood?
kind of. I think it is considered where we were is considered to be a low income neighborhood. Like I
Okay.
think that's right. I think that's
That
right.
might be an actual first for her.
Like, is that what they were? Is that what they meant?
Right.
I don't know. It was so fun, by the way. It was like great room, great food, like good vibes. Everyone fit in the room your dad described to you comfortably.
I'm sure.
Tons of seating, which made me happy specifically for them. And people wanted to sit. Some people. So that's funny. Okay, so your dad was letting you know
He was
how
at first, he
crazy
was
it
just like, this is a crazy party. There's a lot of people in one room. And I was like, I think that's sort of what a party is. And, he was like, we're the only people here of our generation. And I was like,
that's
well,
of
I
course,
mean,
that's true.
it is a 40th birthday party. Like, it's your daughter's birthday party. So,
Right.
like,
What am
that
I
also
gonna-
kind of makes sense.
Right.
And then I was like, well, go find a snack, go find a drink, like, whatever. And then, like, coaching him. And then, like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 minutes later, he wrote and he was like, great party. And I was like, good, awesome.
That is amazing. You know what? They did have a really good time.
It sounded like.
And it was great. But the thing is, in terms of like, yeah, he's right. They were definitely the only people of his generation invited. It wasn't like extended to like aunts and uncles. And by the way, like I even needed my in-laws to babysit. So it was really just like they were the only people in their 70s invited.
That's nice.
Of course, there were people in their 50s because of my siblings and some colleagues, so okay.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a lot of 40-year-olds.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And,
Were there people much younger?
I would say Mitch's sister, Auntie S. Eileen,
Okay.
listener of the pod, friend of the pod. She comes up a lot. Her and her
She
boyfriend
does.
probably were the youngest people there. They had a
Cool.
blast, and it was a good time. It was fun. It was a lot of dancing. I mean, I was dancing. I don't know. It was a lot. Some other people were dancing, but really good DJ. But you know what? Even sometimes when you hear certain songs, I'm like, does the DJ know I'm 40? Like there was like a whole like 90s like portion of the night, Mariah Carey, Honey. Like I was like, maybe he knows. Or maybe it's just
Another
universal.
friend of mine
Everyone
had a
loves those
40th
songs.
birthday party on Saturday. Another friend of mine had a 40th birthday party on Saturday night at the Bell House in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was a 90s themed. Like
So
she
fun.
picked it because it was a 90s themed night. So if that feels, that's appropriate.
Appropriate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great night. That's hilarious that they were live tweeting.
I liked it. It made me feel like I
Love
was
it,
a
of
little bit there.
course. Of
Yeah,
course.
it's cute.
Amazing. So yeah, big birthday. Some other friends of the pod were there, Jonathan, Shari. Actually, Shari had something to say recently, which I really loved, which was that Shari's my oldest friend, first
Sure.
best friend. And she, remember how I told you no one cared about our YouTube segment?
Yes.
Well, I was wrong. I feel seen.
Oh, wow.
Not only does Shari's daughter love Salish, the YouTuber I told you about that Binny
Yep.
likes, and probably Barry.
Yeah, since then, I've heard Barry mention Salish to Mushka like casually, like it's someone they know.
It's
So,
disturbing, but yeah, it
yes.
upsets
Yeah,
me
yeah,
that
yeah.
they talk about these people like they know them.
Totally.
But anyway, this is, really disturbing, but also funny, which is that Shari's daughter, when they were choosing where to go for their summer vacation, chose LA. Why? To find Salish.
Oh my
And the
God.
whole time they were there, she was looking for Salish.
That's really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
And
I think they had a great trip, but also I'm a little frightened. But also when Shari let me know that the Salish thing, she texted me to tell me that she was catching up on HEBC, which is an abbreviation I never use, and I love it. So I wanted to tell you that she uses HEBC as an abbreviation for our podcast, and it made me happy.
cute. I like that.
Me too.
Yeah, it doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm glad that it speaks to others. That's cool.
Me too. I just appreciated it in the text. Like at first I was like, what is she talking about? Oh, that's ours. Okay, that was great. And then I wanted to know if you heard any feedback since our last witch episode on Magical Meet Cute.
Well, I mean, like I told you, we were down in South New Jersey and we were our friend who's an artist who was painting a mural on this, one of the buildings on the property was out there, and his thing, I think he listens to podcasts while working. And last time he was there, I introduced him to our podcast and he became a fan. And then this time he was like, I got to hear new episodes of your podcast. So William's like, nope. William has a whole sound system hooked up. So he
Oh my
immediately
God.
goes, he starts the latest episode. Jonathan's like, this is great. Our friend Jonathan, he's like, this is great. He's listening, he's painting, he like paints into the night. And then like, apparently William said like, I like fell asleep. It was like midnight, but William said like an episode, like they were listening to another episode. And then Jonathan was like, I think I've heard this one. And William realized like the same episode had just been looping, or like he thought like the
my
episodes
God.
would play consecutively, but like Jonathan just listened to the same episode like 3 times in a row. And
Is
I think
he
he didn't
okay?
care. I think he was just liking, he was like, I love your rapport. You guys have great laughs. He's totally a fan. And
It's
then William
so
put on a
great.
couple others.
Okay, yeah, listen to some old ones. Like start with an old one and then new ones will populate. You know what I mean? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I love that. And also when I hear that, it makes me feel so good and also so validated because it's like I knew it in my gut. It's why I wanted to do this with you. So when people say that about our rapport, or people are like, I could listen to you two talk about anything, or my favorite part is when you two are just like shooting the shit. I knew that. And
You
I'm
did.
so happy.
Yeah. You had a vision.
I know. So I love that people love that and he loves it. And I'm glad he likes our laughs.
Yeah. That's really sweet.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, and then he was listening to, I don't know her name, but the woman who does Call Her Daddy,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
who's like now the best paid podcaster ever. I haven't listened to her, but then they were like, let's listen to her podcast. And Jonathan was like, you guys are better. You guys are way better. And I was like, I mean,
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
So, listen, we have a diehard audience. I
We
don't know
do.
what else
We
to
do.
say.
We really appreciate them. I also
Yes.
like when certain fans like they listen because it comes up in their like the podcast like updates.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
before I'm even able to post it, I get like a bunch of texts from some
Oh,
people,
wow.
which
That's
is
so
a
nice.
really so nice.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. So yeah, Gene Meltzer like turned our like the intro to our episode on Magical Meet Cute into this like little cute reel that I was
That was really
loving.
cool. That was really cool. You were like, I don't know how she did this. I don't know either, but that was really nice of her.
Yeah, that was great. I think she was really excited. And
And then I
Jewish.
saw she tagged like the Blue Tent episode. She tagged somebody she knows on the Blue Tent episode and was like, I found a book for you. Like she was really engaging with our podcast beyond just her own episode, which I appreciated.
I did too. That is so funny though to like have to see the blue tent and be like, I have the reader for
I know. I was like, I can't imagine how I would feel if that was me who was tagged. Like someone sees the blue tag and is like, Malya. Although someone probably would because of this podcast.
Oh, of
Like
course.
I'm
Of
sure
course.
someone would tag
I'd
me in a
appreciate
book
it. I'd be like,
that.
I feel seen. Thank you. I am Jewish and horny. Great. But that book. Anyway, so I
Mhm.
loved, I really did love Magical Meet Cute. I think probably a bunch of people read it by now, and listened and caught up. And wow, we're pivoting, although it still is magical a little today in the Cave of Secrets. By the way, was there anything else we wanted to catch up on? I guess there is a
Yes.
couple of other things
Wait,
actually.
I feel like we need to have our segment, our Jonah Platt
Yeah,
segment.
we do. Yeah, we do. Okay. Wow. A lot's gone on, by the way.
A lot has gone on. And I just feel like, bizarrely, like in general, when I think of things that I want to talk about, I try to save them for the podcast. And most of the time I manage to control myself. But for some reason with Jonah Platt, I can't hold back. I just like compulsively need to immediately share with you.
Malya is referring to screenshots of Jonah Platt's Instagram, and I say, save it for the pod.
Yes. And I'm like, I know, but so there were two things. The first one I did hold back on, which is there's another new tattoo situation since we last had a Jonah Platt segment. And I did hold back on screenshotting that one to you, though I thought about it. Did you see the new tattoo?
On his arm? What
Of
would
course.
Mark do?
Yeah. But he has like a great little carousel where he's flexing, showing the tattoo. Do you see
Yeah,
it?
his bicep is just popping.
Yeah, he's like popping bicep with that script, what would Mark do, for his friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
amazing.
I wanted to screenshot that bicep, but I held back.
Yeah, so Jonah Platt lost a friend, tattooed, what would Mark do? I mean, but the thing is, like, it so barely says what would Mark do? It's just like a little delicate scribble.
Yeah, it's
which
like a
is
script. Yeah,
a little cursive script. What would Mark do? But to still make it like a nice tat.
Totally. No, it's tasteful.
Yeah. And it's tasteful, and it's right on his bicep, just shining away. Just flexing.
Yep.
Okay, so that was pretty big. I agree. We would have to have spoken about that no matter what. But then there was a big announcement being teased, and then it was revealed. And Malya thinks we're responsible for inspiring it.
What else would be responsible? Geopolitical events? No.
I could die thinking that you think it has to do with us.
I do. I'm totally serious. Is that insane?
Jonah Platt starting a podcast called Being Jewish with Jonah Platt. And Malya thinks he's inspired by ours.
Because he sees how great being a Jewish podcaster is from his interactions with us. What else would have inspired it? Come on.
I just think like what's happening in the world coupled with like podcasting being just like such a popular format.
That may be tangentially related.
Anyway, I'm so excited for his podcast.
Is there going to be a crossover episode where we're guests?
I don't know, because when I asked, he just liked it.
Oh. It's a little cold, Jonah.
It's still better than like seeing it without, if it was just like seen.
Yeah.
Like if he just saw my comment.
Right, if he just left it. No, that would be bad.
Like that's worse.
Right.
But he did like it.
Right.
Okay.
It's going to be like a serious podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be a serious podcast on being Jewish.
Right. Yeah, but there's got to be some levity. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, if he wants to be on being Jewish podcasters or on being Jewish readers.
Right.
We have lots to say. On being Jewish moms.
Jewish moms. Jewish love and romance. I mean,
absolutely.
These are big topics. I mean, you can't leave them out.
Yeah, Jonah, are you listening? We're ready.
Jonah, we're a piece of the Jewish star that I think you need to embrace.
Yeah, because otherwise it might be a snoozer. You know what I mean? It's like he might need a little.
Can't be too serious all the time. Like it's not. I mean, it could be if he was like breaking news or like interviewing world leaders, then it could be serious. But if he's not, which I frankly doubt, there's got to be some
Part
something.
of why I think that we might not be the source or root of the inspiration is like after many months of intel gathering, team building, industry learning, researching, designing, and planning, I am so thrilled to finally be announcing my new podcast, Being Jewish with Jonah Platt, debuting October 1st. You'll be hearing and seeing much more about it in the days to come, but for now, make sure to follow at Being Jewish Podcast and subscribe to the podcast being Apple or Spotify so you don't miss the premiere, blah, 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 blah. He didn't consult with us.
I mean, he didn't have to. He already was inspired by us.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna ask about this, but anyway, I am excited for the podcast, and I can't wait to be on
Totally.
it one day. We're just gonna manifest it here.
It's happening.
Yeah, he did us a big favor in our first week. We could do whatever he needs,
We're here for him. Absolutely. If he
we're
needs
here for him.
promotion, whatever it is.
and a lot of different kinds of listeners.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, so much. Anyway,
Okay. Good
a
segment.
real pivot this week. Except that it's still like magical, is what I was saying.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like such a pivot. I feel like Magical Me Cute was a good bridge from
You're
like,
right.
it was a
but-
good bridge from
Yeah.
Craving Flight to this.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. I think you probably know in a book like Cave of Secrets by Lynne Golodner,
Mhm.
that's part contemporary and part historical. It doesn't bring out the best in me, I would say. Were you thinking that already?
I was thinking you might have some criticisms.
Is it criticisms or that like I can't follow?
Oh, I see. Oh, did it have that like complexity that you had a difficulty following the plot? Like, what were those other books? Those East Ender books?
Yeah, it's like
Interesting.
no, complexities is not the right. Okay, there's a ton of characters. I was able to follow it, obviously. Okay, I'm a great reader, but
And the
there was-
chapters were labeled with the characters at the beginning,
okay,
which
that's
was helpful.
true. And the year, and the year, and the year.
The
Fine,
year
you're right.
too, right?
There's a lot of bouncing. It's like, okay, let's just start at the top. Also, it's super plot heavy, so like I almost don't even know what but it's like,
Yeah, we don't have to do a whole summary.
but it's like, I feel like we need to at least explain to them what it's about.
of course.
Cave of Secrets takes place in Scotland, and it's like a historian, archaeologist. What is she?
An
journal-
archivist, maybe? I
Archivist?
don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit of all those things.
Okay. And she's in Scotland, and she's like on a hike
Yep.
and finds letters, okay? She's Jewish. She finds letters, and the names in the letters are between, like, there's two Jewish names, like Shira and Ben, so she realizes that they're Jewish.
Right.
But, like, before I even get into everything, it's like her Jewish identity and, like, her relationship with being Jewish and was hard for me to relate to.
Yes. It felt very up and down to me. Like I couldn't really get a handle on how connected she felt to Judaism. Sometimes it felt like it was very important, and sometimes she was very kind of dismissive of it.
There's a part about something with Israel, and I was like,
Yes.
we have to talk about that. We have to get there.
Yes.
We have to get there.
Yes.
I was like, I
Okay.
don't relate to this at all. I don't understand what she's talking about. I don't relate to this.
Right.
So let's get there. Let's get there soon. But anyway, she finds these letters. There's
This
a
is already like, I feel like this book is a little bit of sort of like, has some of the typical romance stuff that I always imagine, in that like there's kind of some plot points that don't fully hang, that you just sort of have to roll with. Like you said, like she seems to be like an archaeologist slash archivist slash historian. She found like letters on paper that have been buried in the dirt for like 400 years but still are like legible. Like
Yeah.
I question if that's possible.
All of that,
Right,
100%. Also,
Okay.
also, she like goes into a bar after to eat something, and she meets the bartender who's the owner. But I think he was like, I go in that cave all the time. I've never seen letters.
Right. I guess maybe that's supposed to be the magical element, like sort of she was meant to find. They were sort of placed there for her, maybe
Yeah, like the ghost put him
supernaturally a
there. Because
bit.
by the way, there's
Yeah.
ghosts later in the book, literal
Oh yeah,
ghosts.
there's
So
multiple
like
ghosts. Yes.
okay.
Okay, so
So
maybe that's it. Got
you
it.
know, maybe like she put him there to find Shira, put the ghost of Shira, put them there for her to find. I don't know, hard for me
Could
to
be.
wrap my head around.
Right.
But she anyway, she really so she's in Scotland and she sees these Jewish names, but like she doesn't know many Jews in Scotland or much history of Jews in Scotland. As I said in the end of our last episode, like I love books that take place in Scotland. I just like
Yes.
love it. I love, and she's this cave is like near Loch Lomond. I was telling you about that song that's always,
Where do you
I
know
don't know,
that
like
song?
comes up on
What's
my
the song?
playlist. It's like
Oh, it's on a
Loch
playlist?
Lomond. Should I play it? Should I play it? I feel like it's like illegal to play in Loch Lomond. I
But
want to
I don't
play it
get
for
it.
you.
It's you put it on a playlist or like it
No, it
randomly
like comes on
up?
for me. Like I hear it. Like it just surprises me on it. I hear it.
I
The
wonder
Bonnie
like
Banks of Loch Lomond. There's so many if you put it in because it's like a traditional Scottish song. So there's
got
so
it.
many versions of it.
You know, it's funny, like a Scottish setting is very sexy. Like I
Oh,
was
there's nothing
actually
sexier.
thinking, you know how I generally cringe from the ebook romance situation, but I actually I couldn't find it, not an
No,
ebook, audiobook for this.
no.
I just read it, but there were points where I was like, would this actually be kind of good on an audiobook? Like with the
Ooh.
Scottish
With
accent,
the accents. Oh my God, Scottish accents. There's nothing
that could be good.
incredible. Yeah, absolutely. There's, I agree with you. It's a very sexy setting, very sexy. And even just like the random descriptions of disgusting food.
There was a lot of disgusting food description.
But but I liked how vivid it was.
Yeah, no, there were great food descriptions. And I think a theme about this, well, I don't know. This feels a little sort of like silly to me, but it felt like, you know, she's like, seems like a woman who really enjoys food and likes eating. And the guy who she meets in the bar who becomes
Mac
like the love
Monteith.
interest, Mac, like really enjoys, like he cooks for her in one of their
Yeah.
early dates. And like he really likes seeing her. Seems like maybe he's been around a lot of like, maybe, I don't know, women who are pickier or sort of like daintier. And he like likes her sort of zest for
Okay.
food and life.
Me too, but I also wanted to talk about this because it's like, don't you know, like it is like watching someone you love enjoy something like is very sexy.
Totally.
So it's like I really appreciated that element of the book.
Yes.
It's like watching, yeah, like watching someone you love. I'm talking like literally consuming, literally eating something that's
Totally.
delicious.
Yeah. It's very, it's just, it
'Cause-
feels good. It feels satisfying to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And like
so even
enjoying
seeing
food with
someone,
somebody who also enjoys food, like in a, you know, like being good companion eaters, I think
Yes.
is important in a
Yes.
romance.
yes, it's sexy.
Totally.
Totally. So that was definitely an element in this.
Yes.
Anyway, Mac's interested right away. She goes, you know, they develop a relationship. Like that's just happening immediately. Like they really
It's one
connect.
of those, like, he's like, I've never met a woman like you. Like, it's one
Instant.
of those. Yeah.
It's exactly. It's instant. I think Stacy told us what that was called, like insta love, something like that. It's like it definitely is that in this
Totally.
book.
Yes.
But then, like, he's not Jewish, and we learn about his family. But then it turns out that the letters are written from his descendants. So that's like one whole element of the book. That,
He's like
they-
royalty. He's like the descendant of a what? A lord? A duke or
yeah, like
something?
yeah, some kind of
Some kind of Scottish, like, noble family. Who
yeah,
owns, like,
some kind of clan that like not clan in the bad way.
no, like an upper class family that owns like a manor and lands and whatever. And he's just kind of like, he's a little rebellious in that he's sort of taken this job managing this restaurant that's like on his family's land. But really he's like a member of the nobility, I guess.
Yes, I think that's a good way to say it. But it's also like the history of like the Highlands and this whole again, you're losing me here. You know, it's like not you, but like
No,
at
I
this
get it.
point,
Like loyalty to the queen versus not. That got a little fuzzy for me.
Come on.
Yeah.
But it's like, but yes, Highlands, noble, whatever. But within that also came a lot of anti-Semitism.
Yes.
So she's basically uncovering that they were actually Jewish. By the way, you know who loves this kind of a story? My
Who?
mom.
Oh, I could say she does
Not
love
this
this.
book, not like books like this, because this
No,
wasn't,
no, no.
she likes really, but like the idea that like within the Scottish Highlands and they were actually Jews.
They're
Oh,
all
my mom
secretly
loves that.
Jews, yeah, and
Oh,
gay.
like, yeah, and gay. They were Jews and gay. But
Yeah.
also, my grandpa loved this. Like,
Huh.
Constantine's sword was like
Of
on like every
course. It's
coffee
his favorite
table in his
book.
house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Literally, like, so it's like this is like this
Right, like the
kind of
hidden
thing,
history of
hidden
these, like,
history of Jews
right.
hiding, and like there was a shul and she would walk to the shul and blah blah blah, or like stories of like Moranos in Spain who like would like had to
Had
convert to
candles in the basement.
Catholicism.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
every time someone died, they sat on the floor for 7 days, but they didn't know why because they were Catholic. And but
Eat it
love
up. Right.
eat it up, literally. They love those stories. Specifically my mom. I think your dad might too, but my mom can't get enough. My grandpa was that way.
Totally.
Anyway, this is giving that for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
giving Constantine's swords.
Total Constantine. It also, it's very, to me, it was extremely similar to that book, that YA book, the Summer of Lost Letters book.
Yes,
that we
because it
read.
was fake. That's why you thought that. Because I think because the Summer of Lost Letters had a whole like really cool history of like Portuguese Jews coming through Nantucket,
Yes.
which was made up.
Right.
And
But it
so
had
is
that
this.
similar feel of like, we found these letters, there's a secret history, let's uncover it together, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. But like part of what's exciting about that, but it's like, wait, there's a whole Jewish part of Waspy, Nantucket? No, actually there isn't.
Right,
She
it's
just
just
thought it
made
would be
up.
possible.
Right.
Because like the sea connects the two, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
of like longitude and latitude lines of Portugal and Nantucket. But like
Right.
really it didn't happen. And like I don't think this did either. Although there are some articles in the end. Did you read the about in the back? Like
Yes,
it's
yes.
possible that this is a little bit, there could be some truth here.
Right, but it's definitely not with any, like, not in any, on this level of detail in any way.
Oh, no.
Right.
Anyway, so they're developing a relationship, but she's continuing to like uncover this thing. She's finding more letters and more letters, which okay.
There's a whole
And,
trunk that she finds. It's like all this
it's
woman's prized possessions.
Literally bananas. Literally, she's finding out about all this history of Jews in Scotland, and
Right.
simultaneously there are other full-on chapters and storylines about her father,
Yes.
his marriage to her mom. Love the Jewish names in this book.
Totally.
There's a Bela, there's a Shandy. I have all these people in my life, so I love it. Like Shandy's my sister-in-law, but like
So cute.
Bela is Tante Betty, Mitch's aunt's best friend, who's like either always there or always calling. Like I feel like if I'm around Tante Betty, her phone, you know when people's phone rings so loudly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you're just like, that's your phone? Like you deal with that all day?
Right.
And
It's
it's
like
always
every
like-
time it rings, and also every time it rings, they act like a bomb has gone off. Like they're like,
Literally.
oh, my phone.
And it's like, who's calling? Who's calling? Bela. It's always Bela. So like there's a Bela in my life. Either Bela's there or she's calling
It's great.
whenever I'm around Tante Betty.
That's nice.
So I love the names in the book. A lot of good
Yeah, yeah,
Jewish
yeah.
names.
Yeah. And actually, the description of like this Orthodox Jewish community felt kind of authentic.
Yes, because Sam, her dad, grew up in a frum Jewish community.
Yes.
And it did seem authentic. He was gay and closeted
Yes.
and married Shandy.
Right. And there's a whole like terrible scene where they're like having sex on their honeymoon and he's imagining his chavruta.
And he's like, I'll just fake it and it'll be
He's
okay.
like, I'll just think about my chavruta and, do what I have to do, basically.
Which is his Torah learning partner.
Who's a
Or
man?
his male Torah partner.
Yes, his study partner.
His study partner. And
Yes.
In yeshiva.
Yes.
And poor Shandy.
Really poor
It's
Shandy.
just, yeah.
Not so,
Not so they have Eve, this archivist, and then Shandy dies.
Right.
And so he's now free.
I know, I felt like Shandy got a little bit of short shrift in this book. Like, I understand, like, she was kind of the villain for him, but, like, really, I felt bad for her. Like,
Oh, absolutely. No, that's how I feel. Poor thing. Nebuch, as my mom would say. This is a
For
very
real.
Bobby-heavy episode, but Nebuch.
and, like, he seems to think, like, later in the book, you find out, like, he confided in her at some point in their marriage, like, I guess after she was pregnant, that he was gay, and she reacts very negatively. And I felt like he was sort of like, he kind of blamed her for having, like, she let him down, but it's kind of like, how is she gonna react? Like,
Yeah, you're my
Come on.
exactly. Like, and the thing is, this happens later in the this happens a lot in these stories. So it's like later in the book when their family his family, who's just like Scottish anti-Semite,
Yes.
Scottish, whatever nobility. We're definitely getting the word wrong. Like anti-Semites,
Yes.
like they find out they actually have Jewish lineage and they don't respond well. But again, like, how are they supposed to react?
Of course.
It's like if you told me, where like I feel I feel Jewish within. I mean, obviously, I know I'm a Tay-Sachs carrier, so like I am very Jewish within my DNA. But like, forget that. Like, you know how you feel, like
Yeah,
just
of
like
course, of
so
course.
Jewish in your
Yeah.
kishka, and then you're told like actually you're like I have all this proof that you're from a long line of I don't know who.
Right.
So like, how are they meant to react?
Right, of course.
Like
You'd
the
be horrified.
anti-Semites
Is that
they
going to
are.
be like, how dare you? Right.
But it
No.
doesn't mean that I'm a racist or that I'm like a Jewish supremacist. It just means that like I've lived my whole life believing that I am this way. It's like she thought she was in a marriage with a straight man.
Right. It doesn't mean she may have been homophobic, but I
But it
think
doesn't even
reacting
mean that.
negatively is not about that. It's about like, you feel betrayed and horrified, like this is your life. It's about, it's just
It's like,
personal. Yeah.
this is the person that I'm raising a family with, and like
Right.
I'm okay. It's like I do think that there's like a range now these days. Like I do think that like it's a little bit different. Like I think like people could, I don't even know, like maybe even like come out as bi, or like I do think it's a little different than then where like it was a from couple.
Sure.
Anyway, but it did I was thinking about that specifically with the family finding out that they're really Jews, and like him and her being like kind of up in arms with their reaction. It's like, what are they supposed to react like?
Totally. Especially
They're
one of these
they're
families,
Jew
their
haters.
history is everything. I mean, like they have, their history is their whole identity.
Right. And they hate Jews. It's not like they're a family who really like loves Jews.
Right.
And they're
No,
like,
no.
we always felt a connection to Jews, so this makes so much sense.
No.
Right. Anyway, so we get this whole story about Sam. He moves to Ann Arbor. He joins this liberal he ends up finding his way to the Jewish community. So much detail there with his partner who's in New York the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't.
That was
so much.
that's a whole other book. Yeah.
A whole other book, and then a whole other thing with Mac's parents.
Yes.
Meanwhile, she's writing this book the whole time, and because of it, basically, like she wants to move ahead with this project and like reveal the story, not just like, in like the archaeology world or whatever, really badgering this, but but like to write a real novel, like about what's going on and what she's discovered. Meanwhile,
Yes.
the ghosts of these people are visiting her.
Yeah. She like doesn't want to be with Mac because she's afraid he like, the ghost of Shira, the woman who wrote these letters, won't visit her if there's like somebody else there. Every night she's like communing with this woman and learning about her life.
Anyway, turns out she visits anyway with him. He sees her. Too.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
That really cleared it up for me, where it was like, okay, she's not imagining this. She's not coming to her in a dream. There's a literal ghost in the room.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
okay, this is a helpful distinction. Because I think when I think about that stuff, I think like someone coming to you in a dream.
Totally.
No, there's like a ghost.
Right. And again, it fits with the setting, like Scottish. You imagine everything is kind of like misty,
Oh, for sure. I'm telling you, the sexiest setting are the Scottish Highlands. It even comes up later in the book. Okay, so then they basically have to break up. I'm getting ahead, but like they have to break up because she wants to pursue the project and feels like they can't do it together. I was curious what you thought about that.
Yeah, this is again one of those like I don't really understand. I feel like she's invented this conflict. Like he's not thrilled to find this out about his family, I would say, even though he's kind of a rebel. He's like not that big of a rebel. Like this is a lot of revelation about the family, but I think he reacts he's not horrified. He understands that she wants to do the book, and he's like, all right, do the book. And she's like, no, but we have to break up because at some point your family will find out and they'll be horrified and you'll feel bad and it'll drive us apart. And so we should just break up now to avoid all of that.
So she leaves Scotland.
But that just seems like a very dramatic reaction, like to someone who you've both said you love each other, you want to be together, your relationship is going great. You kind of like invented a whole conflict that hasn't even happened yet, and you've broken up because of it.
And he's not saying, yes, I agree, this is horrible. He's like, no, I love you. I don't want to break up. I love you. I'll do anything.
Right. And she's like, no, we have to break up because this is going to ruin everything.
So she leaves, and it
Right.
just like keeps fast forwarding time. She writes a book, she gets a publisher, the blah blah blah. She's like the whole thing. She it's moving ahead. It's moving ahead.
Yep.
And then there's like obviously more stuff with her family. Meanwhile, he's in Scotland missing her. I do like that like this is what I was going to say earlier is like he mentions that there's like always tourists coming through this like Scotland who like just want to hook up because they
Yeah,
like
yeah.
saw Outlander or whatever. I probably would love that show in those books, but like he that they've seen Outlander or read Outlander and are like just like interested in like a hot Scotsman.
There is. I watched a few of those episodes. It wasn't for me, I felt, but there was hot Scotsman stuff going
Yeah,
on
so
for
he's
sure.
saying that like tourists come through because they want to like meet one and hook up with one, which is
Sure.
perfect for him because he's like heartbroken and a hookup is like all he can handle. But I
Right.
like she also has like some casual stuff, and I like that. Like I do feel like in most romances, like they're focused on the couple. There's rarely like a other sex.
Totally. Because you don't want
I
to
thought
like,
it
I
was
feel
cool.
like you don't want to like ruin the purity of the relationship, like
Yeah,
muddy the waters. But this
but
one
they
was like,
did.
yeah, and that's real, I think. Totally.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. I
That
like
was fun.
that.
Totally.
So also just like random hookups in Scotland and her whatever was going on. So anyway, but then she's on a book tour. I don't know. She makes it back there. And meanwhile, he's like kind of exploring his Jewish identity and like going to shul,
Yep.
which is like, again, like the fantasy. Like this happened in the Chaya.
Yes, yes.
It happened for us before where like,
In an unorthodox match where the guy came
yes,
back and he was like, not only do I love you, but I've become an Orthodox Jew.
yeah, not only do I love you, but I went to London and completely flipped out. I am very from now.
Yeah, yeah, I'm from. And I love you. So like everything is fine.
And then it's just over. So
Right.
in this case, he's not a from Jew, but like,
No, but he's like, okay, I'm Scottish nobility, but I'm also Jewish, and that's cool.
and like, I love you. And it's just like, they're together and it's over. But it's like, it happens so fast.
Right. It was like a lot of build up and then just sort of. But I think that that just speaks to the fact that the whole conflict was kind of manufactured.
Right.
I feel like
Right.
we had this. What was that book where it was like, was it Home for the Holidays? It was like she and her long lost love, like what wound up breaking them up was that he traveled to like DC to like confess his love, but like he saw through the window that some guy was hugging her. And like he
Oh, yeah. So he
realized that
turns
like
around. It's like an
he
episode
turned
of Saved
around
by
and
the
then just they
Bell.
didn't speak for 10 years. And then she was like, that was my gay best friend, you fool. Like he was just
Yeah.
hugging me like we were like nothing.
Yeah. It's
And I
like
was
Zach Morris sees through the window and like storms off. Yeah.
right. And it was just like, again, I felt like this felt similar to that, and that it was like a conflict that just seemed to last, a rift that just seemed to last for too long after having been kind of about nothing.
Right. I mean, listen, like an anti-Semitic family, but yes, to feel like I need to pursue this book and I need to prioritize it over our relationship. And even though you're saying you can handle both things, I'm telling you I can't, so I'm leaving. Yeah, it's wackadoo, wackadoodle do. Anyway, it all gets resolved.
And also her, like you said, her relationship with Judaism was like also a little iffy. Like she did seek out like the Scottish shul on Rosh Hashanah, but she was
Yes.
very like, I couldn't believe I've never been to anything like this. It was 3 hours in Hebrew.
But the thing is, like, the way that the rabbis spoke, there was something about like the whole first part of the book. Like, I agree with you. Like describing the frum community felt like kind of authentic, and I just like
Yeah.
it. I felt it. I saw it. Whatever.
Yeah.
The way like the rabbis interact with both Eve and Mac in this book, like Mac's like, oh, he meets the rabbi. Mac's like, I'll give you a ride. He's like, I can't drive on the Sabbath. There's many other things I also don't do. Like, rabbis don't talk like that.
Right. They felt a little bit like a theme park. It felt like a little bit like a theme park synagogue. Like, yes, we are Jews. Come. We have a Rosh Hashanah meal with apples.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, yes. They also have other delicacies from the
Yes.
holiday.
the Rosh Hashanah foods are my favorite part.
It was weird. It was
Yeah,
really
there was
weird.
something like wooden about it. It was, yeah, that was weird.
Even can we go back to this Israel thing that I teased a while ago, which is like,
Yes.
he talks about like how she is aware how passionate about being Scottish he is. Okay, he's
Right.
a Scot through and through, and like he mentions the word diaspora, and he's very into being Scottish, and she realizes that she can't relate to having such a strong identity, and so she's like, I highlighted it, but How had she ended up here? She'd never known anyone of Scottish descent, at least not that she knew of. When Mac had mentioned a Scottish diaspora, the only thing she could think of was the same word in connection to the Jewish community, meaning Jews outside the land of Israel. Even so, the concept had never resonated with her, and she had yet to visit the Jewish state. She couldn't see the allure. Geography and land weren't part of her Jewish identity. Being Jewish was merely one facet of her identity, not the whole thing. From the way Mac described Scots, identity consumed them. It was everything, from food to music to language and more. She was trying, but it was also hard to relate to. What the? What? That food, language, music, homeland?
Right. Like,
That
she can't relate to that? Like, what? Right, I guess that's what you're saying. Like, then what is her, what's her conception of being Jewish? Like, it's kind of hard to grasp.
like one facet of her identity. Like it's every inch. I don't relate to her. I don't relate to her.
Right,
To be
and
like,
like,
I never
why
had
is
the
she saying,
allure of visiting the Jewish homeland, and like it's like it's irrelevant that I have one Israeli parent. I think because like my family's love of Israel, I don't get it. I cannot relate.
right, and I don't understand what her character just doesn't even seem consistent. Like, I don't relate. I know there may be Jews that
I know they exist.
don't feel so strongly connected to Israel, let's say, or whatever it is. I get that, but like, I don't get how she could it sounds very sort of like she's being very dismissive of Judaism, and like she doesn't understand strongly relating to like being a part of a group or an ethnic group, but then she feels so strongly about this whole story about Shira. Like,
And also, it's like if the story of anti-Semitism makes you feel so compelled that you're upending your life, for me, it's all connected. It's like deeply connected then. Also, like to Israel. It's all connected.
sure. No, I feel the same way. But it doesn't even if it's not connected and you don't feel so strongly about it, why would you leave the love of your life because you think maybe his family's anti-Semitism will be too much for you to handle? Like, it doesn't.
Right.
Who is that person? It's not coming
I feel
together.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I
Right.
can't even picture her. I don't get it.
Right.
Also, again, I feel she seems older,
How old is she supposed to be?
31 or something.
Yeah. She does seem older. She's an archivist.
I don't know. I highlighted some things that I thought were funny. Funny is the wrong word. I don't mean when I say this, like it's not. I don't mean it to be. This book isn't funny. Like I don't mean,
No.
it takes
No.
itself seriously.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, very.
Like I don't want it's. I don't like. It's not. I don't mean it to be not nice. It's just like the book takes itself seriously.
Yes.
They're not funny. They don't have that. That's
Right.
not what this is about.
Right. No, we've read books where there's like humor injected throughout. This is
Of
not one of
course.
them. Right.
The other thing is that it's because it's part contemporary romance and there is like a little bit of sex in it,
Yes.
but also there's so much history and this historical. But then you got the ghosts. I feel like there's some paranormal. Like I don't actually know, and there's like family history.
Right.
Like it's almost hard for me to label what it is.
Oh, there's like a few different genres here.
Like I know I don't there's a romance in it. It doesn't feel like maybe part of why we're feeling what we're feeling is like it's not just a romance. It's part family drop history.
But I
part
kind of imagine that
ghost
this is
story.
what like, this seems to me more like what I imagined a romance novel would be, where it's sort of like a little bit of like playing around with a lot of different genres, sort of all kind of mixed together to create one kind of like fun, light version of like not really any of the genres.
Right.
With some sex sprinkled in.
Right.
But not like a ton of sex, but like a couple
Not a ton at all.
couple of
Not
good
a ton.
steamy scenes.
Yes. Also, they waited at the very beginning. I remember.
Right.
But yeah, some steam. Anyway, here's the thing. This book has a lot to it.
It definitely I thought I mean, the history part was fun to me. Like I don't think I'm passionate about this type of thing on the level of your mom, but it appeals to me. Like I like it.
Yeah. I especially like it if it's true.
Right. Being
Like, I
true.
really like that. That's cool. Like,
Yeah, it's cool
parts
that
of
like there were those articles at the end that it is rooted in research and there's something there too. Like there's something there.
yeah, that was an that last section, the like acknowledgement section, I did think was interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like this author's written a lot of books, and there is some history. However, anti Semitism has floated through the United Kingdom and throughout the world in waves over the centuries, and the mentions in this book are meant to be a composite of how Jews were treated during an era of nationalism between the years of 1800 and 1918. During that period, Jews lived and worked among non Jews in many places, but faced a new form of political anti Semitism driven by economic change and giving new life to old, commonly used tropes to label the Jew as other and blame Jews for social ills. An interesting article can be found here. It's a whole article from the Times of Israel. British archives hiding royal families, rife anti-Semitism in the 1930s, says historian. It's like the website link. Most importantly, this is a story about love and identity. All my stories are. Anyway, then it goes on to say that she started writing this story in 2022 with like no, and then she goes into describing the war now, and she wasn't expecting as she wrote this. And by the way, it's similar with what Jean had said about Magical Meet Cute, you know?
Right.
It's like what's happening now is inspiring Jewish romance authors to weave these stories of anti-Semitism in, which I totally get.
Totally. I think it's great.
Um, you know, so she talks about the attack and all that. So I actually really did like reading the acknowledgments, you know, about her. Um, and if Lynne Golodner has other Jewish romances, I would check some of them out. And also, she has a podcast, not inspired by us, that is called Making Meaning.
Cool.
She's written 10 books, hundreds of essays and articles, as well as she's a marketing entrepreneur, writing coach, and a host of the podcast Make Meaning.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. Interesting.
Was there anything else you wanted to touch on this one?
No. I think that was pretty
We covered it.
We did it.
Cave of Secrets.
Cave of Secrets. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad. I love the Scottish part. One thing that happens in some Scottish books is that when a character has a thick Scottish accent, it's written out that way.
Oh, that's cool.
And I really like that.
He did call her Bonnie.
Oh yeah. The Bonnie Lakes of Loch Lomond. So if there's not a copyright issue, William should absolutely put it in.
Noted.
Yeah. Okay, Mal, should we pick our next book?
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 books to suggest. One is different for us. It's called The Marriage Box by Corey Ajmi. And this is the description, okay?
Okay.
Casey Cohen, a Middle Eastern Jew, is a 16-year-old in New Orleans in the 1970s when she starts hanging out with the wrong crowd. Then she gets in trouble and her parents turn her whole world upside down by deciding to return to their roots, the Orthodox Syrian Jewish community in Brooklyn. In this new and foreign world, families gather weekly for Shabbat dinner, parties are extravagant events at the Museum of Natural History, and the marriage box is a real place, a pool deck designated for teenage girls to put themselves on display for potential husbands. Casey is at first shocked by this unfamiliar culture, but after she meets Michael, she's enticed by it. Looking for love and a place to belong, she marries him at 18, believing that she can adjust to Syrian ways. But she begins to question her decision when she discovers that Michael doesn't want her to go to college, he wants her to have a baby instead. Can Casey integrate these 2 opposing worlds, or will she have to leave one behind in order to find her way?
Okay.
This is our first Syrian Jewish community book if we read this.
Yeah, I like that this exists. This is cool.
I'm very intrigued, and I'm pretty sure that someone I know has told me about this book and knows Corey.
Oh, wow.
And I'm psyched. She's the person who told me about. I'm pretty sure told me about this book is a listener of the podcast and loves it. And the Syrian community, it's like there's a whole world that we haven't been exposed to in these books.
Yeah.
And you know, I know more about. I feel like I know a decent amount about the Syrian community, but more about the Persian community. There's some similarities, a lot of differences, obviously.
Right.
But okay, so that's one book.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, and then Girl Meets Goy by Aviva Gat. Okay. Leah Rosenberg moved to New York City to pursue her journalism career and hopefully meet a nice Jewish boy, but her plans are derailed when Gabe saves her on the subway platform. Handsome, romantic, intelligent, and ambitious, he's perfect in every way, except for one. When her Jewish ex-boyfriend reappears, Leah faces a dilemma. Should she date the guy who gives her butterflies, even if he goes against everything she's ever known, or should she play it safe and rekindle her past relationship? Join Leah as she explores the happy hours, high rises, and holidays of Manhattan while she figures out if marrying Jewish is more important than following her heart.
I
bet he becomes frum.
He's gotta. Come on. And I do love a book set in Manhattan.
Me too. It seems like it might be a little bit authentic. But by the way, the other book's going to be set in Brooklyn. Probably going to.
Right.
Well, listen, I'm always open to reading both of them eventually, but do you want to start with The Marriage Box?
Yeah. I think the Syrian world could have a lot of sexy scenes that are like very specific. And
yeah,
the food
if there
is
isn't
amazing.
like giant platters of rice, I'm walking out.
No. There's going to be rice. There's going to be like
there's going to be lahmacun.
little...
I want kibbeh. I want those cigars.
Totally. I want
so much date syrup.
What are those like little pitas with the chopped meat on top of them?
Oh, that's all right. Oh, wait, that's lahmacun, what I just said. The little pitas with the meat on top that's like sweet.
Well, yeah, said, will there be cack? Cack is like those those are good, those cack.
So good.
Yeah.
My close friend growing up was Syrian, and so I really got exposed to a lot of this delicious food. There's nothing more delicious than Syrian or Persian Shabbat.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the best.
Just that's it. The best.
Okay, so I'm hoping for some descriptions.
Though.
Yeah.
Which is that Girl Meets Goy has a sequel called The Goy Next Door. So I do think we should probably read them at some point because
Absolutely.
I'm already feeling like they're going to be great.
No, that sounds really good too. Okay, there's a lot of good stuff here.
It's amazing, but I know I keep saying this, but like this is just the gift that keeps on giving. I can't believe there's all these books.
I know now I'm at the point where when people are like, that's a genre, I'm just like, yeah, like, of course it's a genre. Like, where have you been?
It's major.
Yeah.
It's major. Yeah.
Come on.
I told someone about it the other day and they were like, but it's not like erotica, right? I'm like, it is called Hanukkah erotica, but it isn't erotica. It isn't. Just once.
Correct.
Okay, so we are reading The Marriage Box by Corey Ajmi. And we can't wait to talk about it.
I'm really excited. This is a good pick.
A great pick. And probably after that, it'll be Girl Meets Goy, if you want to catch up on a lot of books and you're reading along with us.
Totally.
Hanukkah Erotica Book Club is produced by William Levin and brought to you by Hanukkah Pong, which is menorah-shaped beer pong. One was sold today, by the way, and I said, oh my God, did they put in the promo code? But it wasn't from one of our listeners.
Oh man!
Just another random fan.
They missed out.
Someone getting ready for Hanukkah. Someone ready to play Hanukkah Pong at their upcoming Hanukkah party, which is coming up in a few months. It's really going to be here before we know it, So anyway, if you want to buy menorah-shaped beer pong, go to newishtraditions.com and put in the promo code Hanukkah Erotica, HANUKKAHEROTICA, Erotica.
You got it.
And are we also promoting the hummus?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We can promote. Yeah. Zabari hummus. He's really inspired. I was going to save this, but like, and I also haven't discussed it with him, but like, if we're having, yes, this is extremely exciting. William helped Noam redesign his website, which looks great, by the way. What's the website? And he's paying us in food.
Oh my God.
So it's zabarihummus.com, ZABARIHUMMUS.com. Redesigned by William with lots of gorgeous pictures of his food, and we're getting a food delivery.
Oh my God.
I mean, so like life is really good. I
can't wait for you.
Thank you. I'll report. I'll give a full report because it's gonna be epic.
I can taste it now.
Me too.
Also, are we also promoting a new Instagram account?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we don't have to.
I don't even remember what it was called. Is
it done? We can pop in and out with those. We have Okay.
Hanukkah Pong is a consistent sponsor. Happy almost Hanukkah to everyone.
Exactly. We have others that sort of, pop in and out as appropriate.
Yeah, as the projects come about. All right.
Exactly.
Well, I love chatting with you today. I missed you. I was so excited about this episode.
Oh, me too.
I was so
Happy
psyched.
birthday again.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good night.
Good night.